are listening to the Heavy Metal Hangover, where the beer is always cold and the music is always heavy.
With your hosts wearing jeans and leather, not Cracker Jack clothes, Rex and Duff.
Welcome to another episode of the Heavy Metal Hangover. My name is Duff.
My name is Rex, last time I checked.
Yeah, well, God, it's 2025. You never know what's going on. We could be anything at this point.
We could be anywhere.
That means. Could be anywhere. Yeah. That I don't even know what I'm saying right now, but it's okay. Anyway, welcome back. It's been a whole week since we last spoke. Feels like it's been a week. Anyway, yeah, we're back. It's going to be another night of drinking beer. You know what? I want to start off, and normally we babble for a little bit, and then we get into picks of the week. I want to get to my pick of the week pretty quickly, but before I do that, I want to kind of preface my pick of the week.
I didn't know you had one, so let me write that down. You have to write them down.
Oh, well, you and your stupid, need to be literate. I'll write it down. Hold on. You can hear me typing. Tick, 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 tick. So, what I wanted to say before I get into my pick of the week and before Rex gets into his, last year, the two of us bitched and whined pretty much the entire calendar year about how disappointed we were overall with metal albums last year. Now, let me clarify. We both had a handful of records we really liked. Our top few were great. I mean, I don't remember what your top few were, but, in my case, like Dark Tranquillity's new album, the damn thing just blew me away. There were some really good albums last year. But, man, did we bitch and moan. the only way to describe it. We did. We complained a lot all year round. We're like, oh, man, this year kind of sucks. I will tell you that 2025, it is the end of March by the time this episode comes out. I am very happy with where we are with the release of albums so far and realizing that it's only the end of March. And there are a handful, at least for me anyway. I don't want to speak for you about records and bands that you're into, but very specifically, some bands that I am a big fan of have put out absolutely incredible records already this year. And it makes me feel good. It also gives me hope for the year. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where we can't listen to everything. We don't know everything. We don't know every album that comes out. We miss albums all the time. We miss albums we would like. We miss albums by bands we're fans of. And sometimes we just don't realize they come out. And so maybe there were a bunch of records last year that we would have really liked, and we just didn't see them or, whatever. But we did. We spent the year complaining that, well, it wasn't a bad year, but it wasn't great. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we were talking at one point where you're like, you weren't even sure you wanted to do a top 10 list last year.
Well, I think what you're saying.
Go ahead.
I was going to say my biggest problem is that I think it was one of those things, and I don't know if it was a lot came out in the beginning or a lot came out in the end, but like it felt like that. But I think looking back, I think it was a better year than I remember, and I think maybe there was just me I don't know what you might call it, lulls. There seemed to be a lot more lulls.
It's very possible. It's very possible. Because I remember going into the end of the year and saying the same thing. I said I was happier with the year than I thought I was, but I will say it's one thing I know doing a top 10 is not something you like. It's something I like doing more than, or at least I like doing it more than you do. But one thing about doing a top 10 is, it's a way to kind of look back at a year. And I was happier with last year at the end of last year than I was through the year. But I am not going to try to say that 2024 was exactly the strongest year of metal releases that we've had. It was, it was a weak year in comparison. But that happens. I mean, you can't. Your favorite bands can't put out albums you love every single year. Some surprises, some disappointments, et cetera, et cetera. But I just want to go on record by the end of March. And again, who the hell knows what is going to happen for the rest of the year? Because again, I mean, it's cyclical. I mean, you do have your February releases, then you'll have it happens, and I realize that. But I am super happy with a handful of records that have come out this year. I mean, and I don't want to go into a big conversation about this because it's a one-sided conversation, and believe it or not, I try not to have those. But, the new Dream Theater record is incredible. I have not heard one Dream Theater fan who doesn't like this record. I have not heard one casual or not even a Dream Theater fan, but people who are just like, that band's okay, who haven't said this album is great. Mainly, and we were talking about this before the show, sometimes a band, and this is not just about Dream Theater, but sometimes bands get some inspiration from somewhere. They hire a new band member, or someone comes back. In their case, Mike Portnoy came back. I hate to, this sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but it's kind of like when Bruce Dickinson came back to Iron Maiden. I know you're going to think that's overselling it, but it's just true.
I mean, it's not like he broke his leg or anything.
No. What I'm saying is, it's no. I just mean like, it sounds like the drummer from Dream Theater coming back would not be on the same scale, but it really did. And you know what? It's better than the last few albums he did when he was in the band. It happens. So again, I don't want to talk about Dream Theater all day. That's not the point. The point is sometimes bands who've been around for a long time, dude. I mean, I don't care. When you're in a band professionally, it becomes your job. And I don't care what your job is. You do the same job for 30, 40 years. You can't tell me you wake up in the morning with the same excitement to do your job every day that you did when you were younger. But it goes in waves, and that's super cool. So the new Dream Theater it's amazing. And I'm sorry. The band The Halo Effect has a new album out that is absolutely killer. The new Destruction, I will say it's the new Destruction album. It is by no means like an earth-shattering record, but it's a good album. I've listened to it twice through. The new Avantasia is killer. It's got a ton of great vocalists on it. Dude, freaking Jeff Tate sings on it. Now, for me, I mean, being a massive Queensryche fan, that's a big deal for me. But it's got Michael Kiske from Halloween, but he's always on those records. Roy Khan is on there. Tommy, the current vocalist of Camelot, is on there. And I know you could speak to this record better than I can, Rex, but I dig the new Scour record. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're probably, I know you have their all their albums. How would you rank this among the other ones? I don't mean to put you on the spot about it.
I mean, truthfully and honestly, it's
or is it just kind of another Scour album?
It's another Scour album. I mean, like all they're. I mean, it's. I don't even know what to categorize them as. I mean, like they're black and death, I guess. Like they're somewhere in between black metal and death metal because it's not clear cut which one. And yes, by the way, the black metal purists are going to be like, they are not black metal, blah blah blah. Well, but they're definitely black. There's a little bit of black metal influence in there. So can I say I'm not categorizing them with Dark Throne, but at the same time, they definitely have that influence in there.
I think the black metal purists stopped being cool a long time. Well, not that they were ever cool, but I think the black metal purists have painted themselves into a corner in the 90s, and so,
Well, you
I'm
can't be a
sorry.
real black metal band unless you kick in the speakers on your amp and record with a Fisher-Price or with a Talkboy.
Dude, I'm sorry, but when I think of like black metal purists, I still think of that meme of like the guy in corpse paint eating an ice cream cone on a park bench.
It's from the movie Deathgasm.
No, do you know what I'm saying though? Like,
Yeah, that's a still from the movie Deathgasm.
right, yeah. It's because I mean, and dude, I'm not making fun. There are a ton of of pure black metal bands that I do really like. But I'm not really all that concerned. If a bunch of kids in war paint want to come after me, it's like, dude, I'm fat, but you're wearing spiked boots, dude. I'm going to tell you, you probably can't run in those things. And by the way, if you fall, your spiked knee pads are going to get stuck in the ground, and you won't be able to get up. I'm sorry, that would be funny. By the way, this has nothing to do with black metal, but since we're talking about like painting yourself in a corner with music genres, let me ask you a question. You mentioned this to me, that what did Dave Mustaine say about black metal? Or not black metal, like new metal. What did he say?
I can't remember the exact quote, but recently he said like he hates new metal and he's glad that the genre is dead. And then like the next minute he announces a tour with Disturbed. Everybody's laughing at him for that. They're like, I hate black metal. It sucks. By the way, catch us on tour this summer with Disturbed. Or not black metal, new metal. I keep you got me doing it. New metal is what I meant.
I said the same thing. And black metal and new metal are clearly, other than the fact that they both had their time in the 90s, they're clearly not the same thing. It's just when I was talking about, pigeonholing a music style, it was, one of those things that it got me thinking about. And again, I am agreeing with you about Disturbed checking all of the boxes for new metal. I don't know if I would say stylistically they exactly were, but I'm with you. They checked all the boxes. I remember them playing at Ozfest and coming out in a straight jacket. It's like they were definitely, if they weren't, I think the only thing stopping them from being new metal was the fact that they were way more like radio rock, new metal radio rock. I don't know. But they definitely did everything they could to be a You Just Don't Get Me Mom band. Dude, if they had a scary Viewmaster, they would have knocked it out of the park. Now let me say this. Do I think Disturbed and Megadeth make sense together? I do. I don't think that's a ridiculous lineup. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of people that like both bands are they have a similar demographic of older fans, and Disturbed is popular with that group too, but Disturbed is also popular with a younger crowd too. So I don't know, there's some synergy there. It makes sense, I guess, but it is just funny to me how Dave Mustaine can just shove his foot so far up his mouth. I was telling Rex earlier today, like, could you imagine if Dave Mustaine, Kerry King, Eddie Trunk, and Gene Simmons were in the same room? Like the dick waving competition of who thought of it first, and oh my god, it would just, I don't know. It would just be funny. I mean, we all know that Gene Simmons invented metal because Eddie Trunk taught him how. And then Eddie Trunk went and started Metallica, which Dave Mustaine is still writing the music for. But all of that only happened because Kerry King's sunglasses were a part of it. I mean, it's anyway, I'm sorry, I'm rambling at this point. I'm probably not making any sense. But if you listen to this show and you want me to make sense, you're listening to the wrong show. Anyway, but to circle back around, I think it's a cool year, and I'm looking forward to what else comes out. I have some hope. And I saw something that really excited me, and it doesn't excite me in the perspective of like it's a tour in Europe, so I can't go. So I'm not excited because I can see the show because I can't. But I saw that 3 Inches of Blood is touring in Europe. I think that is awesome. I don't know what that means. I don't know if 3 Inches. I didn't look into it. I don't know if 3 Inches of Blood is trying to like put records out again. Are they gonna tour more? Is it a one-time thing? I don't know. But it would make me extremely happy if 3 Inches of Blood was putting music out again. Love that band. It's been almost 20 years since I saw them live, and I'm super excited about that. Anyway, I feel like I've been talking way too much. We can either jump into our picks of the week or talk about something else and come back. It's completely up to you, man.
Picks of the weeks are fine.
I was just throwing out a bunch of crap that was on the top of my head while I look at Filth, and it's just the way the world works.
So my pick of the week is SpiritWorld Helldorado. It's like I told this story last week, and I was supposed to get it last Friday, so I would probably have been my pick of the week last week, but I got screwed out of it by Amazon. My favorite punk store, Angry Young and Poor.
Wait, can you be like first she screwed?
They screwed me, and now I'm gonna screw them.
Screw her. Sorry, go on.
She screwed my brother, and now I'm gonna screw her. Black Sheep. I love that movie.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't go straight into quoting Gary Busey after that.
I'm not that far from dragging you out of the car and beating you into dust.
Beating you to dust. Anyway,
I like
continue.
That. You should work up to that. Leaves you know where to go. I can go over to Mama's house and start a small fire in her panties.
God, I love that. It's such a terrible movie, other than it's got its moments, and its moments are awesome. Anyway, continue.
Actually, my favorite line in that movie is during the bouncer thing where he's like, I will tear off your head and spike it onto the floors of a nightmare you can't possibly imagine. I will dance with you in a 6-sided circle of flames.
Oh, God. It's so funny.
I actually have used that line before. Anyway, so yeah, my favorite, again, I'm not paid to say this, and I posted this on Instagram, the whole story, so I'm not going to go over it again, but Angry Young and Poor, literally, I ordered it on Friday. It was at my door and in my hands by Monday afternoon. I mean, granted, I live in New Jersey, and they're based out of PA, so I'm not saying that if you live in California, that's the expectation, but they always, they always ship my stuff. Like, I will place an order on Friday afternoon, and it's in the mail by Friday evening or Saturday morning. Like, so they're really good at that usually. I think the only time that they ever had a delay in shipping was because there was a massive snowstorm, and since they do ship from their brick and mortar store, they probably just couldn't get into the store to do it.
It is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's in PA. It's in Lancaster, however you want to pronounce it.
Lancaster.
Yeah, see, the problem is that now that I live in New Jersey, I don't know how to pronounce PA stuff anymore. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I live in New Jersey, so I talk different. It's just I honestly can't remember because I hear other people pronounce it differently. So it's like one of those things where I'm like, I can't remember the right way to say it.
The only problem is you don't say you live in Jersey.
No, I never will. I'm never going to say I'm from Jersey.
Or you'd be a lot cooler if at the end of every sentence you went, oh.
No, that's only when you're pissed. Like if somebody's like, hey, your mom, oh.
You're also completely not Italian, which it doesn't mean you can't say that. But it does kind of take away from it a little bit.
The best thing ever was I was at a hockey game and somebody got checked in the boards and I heard, oh! That was the best.
So
I was like, I literally texted you on the spot and I'm like, dude, my Jersey experience is complete. I heard an honest to God and unsolicited, oh!
So good. So good. You should have been like, dude, it's okay. I'll get you some gabagool.
Get you some gabagool.
Oh man, I want to get a gabagool T-shirt. I just.
Well, I keep telling you, if you come to visit, I'll take you to the Bada Bing.
Hey, dude, you know what they're gonna say right when I walk in the.
Hey, Duff.
Tell them the pervert's
back. No, there is a legit strip club here that the Bada Bing was, and they actually have a sign saying like this is the Bada Bing, and you can get like Bada Bing T-shirts and stuff in it.
This is the Bing.
I was at the Bada Bing. Or, you got to respect the Bing. You'd probably walk in and they'd treat you like Silvio.
Everybody be like, dude, clean. Everybody starts cleaning. They start wiping down. They're like, oh my God, he's here. He's gonna make sure we're doing our jobs.
This is it. This is the day we've been preparing for.
It reminds me, dude. Like my favorite thing on The Sopranos to ever happen in the Bada Bing is when Jackie Aprile dies, and they find out that Jackie dies, and there's the one stripper. She's like, "I'll never forget where I was when I heard this." So funny. It's just if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's season 1. You got it. I'll never forget where I was this day, and she's standing there like half naked stripping. Anyway, it's just awesome.
So yeah, Angry Young and Poor hooked me up. I got the new Cradle of Filth, SpiritWorld, HellDorado.
So freaking good, and we'll talk about it. But
and I got a Depeche Mode album, and I got a Skinny Puppy album. So it was all good. Because as I was telling Duff, I had a real. It was like 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Monday. I had a really kind of just crappy meeting at work, so
he had a case of the Mondays.
I had a case of the Mondays, so it set the stage for my whole week. So I tell him like all I've been listening to is like sad bastard, like 80s dark wave, new wave, and industrial, just because I've been in one of those moods until I took me a while to shake it off, but I'm better now. So actually this week, earlier this week, all I was listening to is Depeche Mode and Nine Inch Nails, Skinny Puppy, that kind of stuff. And then after I played hockey Wednesday, cleared my head, got me good, and then I started listening. I was actually listening to the new Scour, because it's a really good album. Like it was my pick of the week a while back, but you're right, the new Scour it's a really good album. Again, like it's hard to compare. They only released EPs. So like all of their other releases were like 3 songs, 4 or 5 songs or whatever. This is their first actual album, and it's a good listen. It's definitely, if you like that kind of music, it's definitely a good listen. And
I have not spent as much time with it as I should have. That's for no reason other than I just haven't. I have listened to the record once or twice at least, but
again, Amazon screwed me, so I ordered it directly from Housecore, and for an extra $10 that Amazon was going to charge me, I got a T-shirt and a patch and a pin. So, yeah, I mean, again, like I can't stress it enough.
You would have just gotten a wooden leg; it would have been awesome.
A wooden leg, but I mean, I can't stress it enough. Like shop. I said like shop with people who care as much about your music as you do. But the other thing I got this week too, and I'll get to SpiritWorld in a second, was one of my favorite songs of all time. You know what? I'm going to save this one. I'm going to save this one because I actually have an idea of something to talk about. Okay. Anyway, so SpiritWorld, HellDorado. So SpiritWorld's HellDorado is a good album.
By the way, can you talk about this band? Have you kind of described this band? Even if you've done it before, can you do it again? Because they're unique.
SpiritWorld is, and I don't know a lot about them from the standpoint of I've never like researched them, but I did some reading about them and read some interviews. They're kind of like country western themed. Like their last album was called Death Western. The new album is called HellDorado. And I guess like the singer and a lot of the musicians grew up listening to like I don't know where they're from. Like they're from this, they're from like tech. I'm gonna make this up. They're from like Texas or something. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to be the SpiritWorld authority.
All right, but I'm gonna look this up. They are. Hold on. They're American.
They're American, but I'm saying I don't know.
No, I'm just saying that's.
Oh, they're from Las Vegas. They're from Vegas. Oh, so okay. They're from they're from that area. So I was reading, and like I think it was the singer who was doing the interview. He said like he grew up like seeing the the country western bands who I can't remember the name of the suits, but they all wear like the suits, the rhinestone suits whenever like
Rhinestone
in the old
cowboys.
days. Yeah, like the old days, you'd see the bands come up and they're all wearing matching like rhinestone suits and big 10-gallon cowboy hats. So I don't know if they still do it, but when they started out, they would come out. He was like, I've always wanted one of those suits, but I was not in a country western band. I was in a metal band. So I guess they designed suits that are like rhinestone. They look like those, except they have skulls and stuff all over them.
It's kind of like I always wanted to go out on stage in a leisure suit, but I was in a metal band and that didn't.
We encouraged
work.
it. We would have encouraged that.
I know.
Like you look, I'm not looking like Cousin Eddie.
No,
but
Leisure Suit Larry, man.
So their music, Leisure Suit Larry. The Xbox game was awesome.
I know.
But anyway, so they a lot of their music is country western theme, meaning it's not like you're gonna hear "My horse is a Harley," but they fold. Like I'm trying to remember their Death Western came with a sticker, and it was like for fans of, and it was like Slayer and Hatebreed were two of the bands that they recommended. So,
will you do me a favor? Will you message me one of their like more country leaning songs? And I know that for our listeners, will go, I don't care that he's messaging you. Go ahead and message me something you would consider one of their more country leaning songs. You don't have to do it right now. The reason I say this is
while you're talking about Cradle of Filth, because I've been listening to the album, so I haven't been like paying attention to like what songs are what.
Okay. The reason I say this is, and I've talked about him before, I have a good buddy of mine who is, a hardcore, like, rebel country guy, but there has been some metal that he's really liked. He likes, like, I got him listening to Pantera because, they have that southern, you could tell they're a band from Texas when you listen to them. He likes heavy metal that has some of that flair to it, and I guess what I'm saying is I would be very curious to hear what a hardcore country, and again, I don't mean someone who listens to pop country. I mean someone who's he's a country fan, kind of like the black metal fans we were talking about earlier. So anyway, I would just be curious, and if it'd be a fun conversation to bring up next week if I can.
So this,
remember it. Anyway,
I mean,
continue.
but this album, and that's what I was kind of going to get to, is terms of this album is different than their last album. Their last album was like hard straight through, pretty much, if I remember right. Their last album was pretty hard straight all the way through, where it was much more metal focused. I think on this album they kind of loosened up a little bit and actually tried to embrace more of their country western roots. So, I feel like there's more songs on here. This album I think has more dynamics, whereas their last one was a lot of, this one actually has a mixture of that stuff, but then they almost go full blown country western where you've got clean guitars going, the twangies, kind of like, that kind of stuff. So, I found an example I'll send you, but it's funny because I'll send you this example and then I'll send you another song off the album and you'll be like, these are two different bands. I don't know.
I've heard them. I'm curious. Continue. I remember being like, this isn't my thing, so I didn't follow up. But that doesn't mean there's nothing on those records I would like. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's so this album for me, it's like I don't quite, and it's good. So like I enjoyed listening to it, so it's why it's my pick of the week. I don't quite know if it's weird. It's one of those things where I wonder, I've listened to it a handful of times and I wonder if the more I listen to it, the more it's going to grow on me, where the dynamic, because I honestly do like bands that do, first of all, embrace other genres. Now I don't want to hear a band that releases death metal and then the next track is full blown like country, because then it's just like, well, this is, it's hard to get into an album that jumps around like that.
It's not. Dare I say it's not like a crossover type thing. That would be, we just play different. We do. Oh, this song is country and that song is
right. So, but I mean, like this definitely has
I'm a little bit country. You're a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely has some dynamics in it. So, but it's it's definitely cool. And the singer, he yelled primarily like, like Jamie Josta style yells on the previous album, whereas this one he actually does a little bit of bluesy type, this kind of singing, like that kind of stuff. So it's really, and again, it's kind of neat. I mean, I like country, a lot of country. Like I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm like, Johnny Cash or anything, but like, I like, a lot of the older country. Like I like Johnny Cash, the modern country. I like Brad Paisley, and I'm not a big country fan, but I dabble in it. It's kind of like I say even about like goth rock and dark wave and all that stuff I've been listening to this week. I dabble in it. I'm familiar with a lot of it, but at no point would I ever sit here and say I'm a huge fan, because I don't think I've earned that yet. I don't know enough about it. It's like the dude who, he mostly listens to whatever's on the radio, but he's heard Enter Sandman a handful of times. Does he like metal? Yes. Is he a metalhead? No. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, so, anyway, so yeah, SpiritWorld, HellDorado, I say give it a try. So if you like that, kind of like if you're into Hatebreed, Slayer, that kind of stuff, maybe start off with Death Western, and then kind of move into SpiritWorld if you like the country western type stuff. So if you do like that blending of like metal and country western, so I almost want to think about, it reminds me of a little bit of a more polished Rebel meets Rebel. So years ago,
cool. Yeah.
So yeah, years ago, back before I guess died. Well, they obviously recorded it before he died, but it was released after he died, where Vinny, Rex, and Dime recorded. I don't even know if it was Rex was involved, but I know Vinny and Dime, at least,
I don't remember. Yeah,
recorded an album and have David Allan Coe, who's a like legendary, like old school, like outlaw country guy, do vocals. And it was a good blend of like metal and country. It was literally like it was more country than any Pantera like influence, even Southern or anything like that. I mean, there is legit, I don't want to say there is legit country songs on there, but you could definitely hear the country influence way more than anything else that I'd heard out of them. So, I'd almost say it sounds like a more polished Rebel meets Rebel. Musically, the vocals sound nothing like David Allan Coe, but musically, I'd almost compare it to that as far as like how you get that kind of blending of country and metal. So, anyway, so yeah, that's SpiritWorld, HellDorado. I'm looking forward to listening to it more. Again, I haven't spent much time with it. I've only spent maybe like the past few days with it, just because, and we'll kind of maybe get into this topic too, but it's one of those things where I hate it when, I hate forcing myself to listen to stuff, because, if you're not in the mood, like I said, this week I had a bad early week. I just wanted to listen to sad bastard music, so I listened to a lot of like industrial, like, that kind of stuff. Because I knew if I put on the new Cradle of Filth, I was going to listen to it, but I wasn't going to listen to it. It was just going to be on, and I wasn't going to pay attention to it, because it would have been like, it's like putting on a movie you don't really want to watch. You pick up your phone, you start like doing something else, and eventually you realize you're halfway through the movie and you really haven't paid attention to what the hell is going on.
And it's not because you don't want to watch the movie; it's because you don't want to watch it right now. You're just
right. You're just not in the mood. There. Yeah, like you put on a horror movie and you really feel like watching a comedy, so you're not going to pay attention to it, no matter how bad you want to watch it. Or you're not going to enjoy it as much. And if you would have watched it tomorrow, or if you would have listened to the album tomorrow, you'd been like, "This is awesome." But, because you're not in the mood for it, you're like, it was all right. And then who knows the next time you're going to listen to it to say like, oh, I don't know what I was thinking the last time I listened to this. So I have not listened to the new Cradle of Filth yet. And SpiritWorld, I've only been able to spend a couple of days with. Because I wanted to be, especially with a new album, I wanted to be in the right headspace. Because I've been looking forward to these two releases for a while, and I wanted to be in the right headspace to really listen to them and enjoy them. So,
no, I totally agree.
So I'll send you one of those songs you asked me about. But in the meantime, SpiritWorld, HellDorado, give it a whirl, see if you dig it. I do. So yeah.
So my pick of the week is unsurprisingly the new Cradle of Filth, the Screaming of the Valkyries. I think it's absolutely incredible. I mean, it is incredible start to finish. Now, I'm a huge Cradle of Filth fan. I've gone on record for that. Hell, since the late 90s, when most Cradle of Filth fans were, I don't know. I hate the term edgelords, but whatever. You know what I mean. That was who they marketed to. That was kind of their fan base. But again, radio station got their early albums and was like, these guys are they're just awesome. And, but a lot of the reason I liked them was always they're very moody. And I know their early music was super chaotic, but there was still a lot of ambiance there, and it's very moody and extremely melodic. Even if Danny was, doing that thing, and it's super fast, and it still had that gothic kind of feel to it. There was a lot of layers there, and I yes, they benefited from getting better production, and especially starting with the From the Cradle to Enslave, and then Midian, and going on after that. Like, I mean, when their production got ramped up, it was like, oh my god, it was easier to tell how good they were. But I think they have just been on a string of killer album after killer album. Cryptoriana was great. Their last album was really good. I absolutely love their new album. Do I think it's gonna make a Cradle of Filth fan out of you if you're not a Cradle of Filth fan? That depends. And let me explain what I mean. Why are you... Okay, so would the new Cradle of Filth album make someone who doesn't like Cradle of Filth like Cradle of Filth? My question would be, why don't you like them? And I don't mean like, well, what do you like? What is your reason for not liking them? If they just don't click, that's cool. Is it because you've only ever heard their super chaotic stuff? Well, if that's the case, you're not going to get it, because that's really not what they sound like anymore. Do you hate Danny's vocals? Well, okay, Danny's vocals are Danny's vocals. That's just the way they're going to be. So I guess what I would say is, if you're open to liking Cradle of Filth, if you haven't written them off completely, which, dude, I write bands off. It happens. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that I don't like. I would say if you're open to it and you haven't listened to Cradle in a long time, the album's fantastic. There's so many good songs on it. I think if you already are a Cradle fan, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. I think the best songs on the record are not either one of the singles. To Live Deliciously, Malignant Perfection, those are great songs. Don't get me wrong. But the Trinity of Shadows, Non Omnis Moriar, and You Are My Nautilus those songs are so freaking good. I have been listening to those three songs almost in constant repeat for the last 2 days. And again, I love the whole album. I mean, it's all really good. But the Trinity of Shadows, Non Omnis Moriar, and You Are My Nautilus are three of the best songs Cradle's have done in years. And that's saying a lot, because there's so many songs in the last few albums I really like. What I will say about this record is that this is not a Cradle album which has a couple of killer songs and then some filler. This is damn it, start to finish, this album is awesome. It also doesn't have an entire, intro track. It's very weird. There is an intro to Live Deliciously, but there isn't, an entire track of ambiance. It's more like, I'm making this up, 30 seconds, and then To Live Deliciously goes into it, which is a little weird for me. I did see a comment that someone wrote on one of the videos on YouTube where they're like, I liked Cradle of Filth a lot more when I couldn't understand what Danny was saying. And I kind of laughed and thought that was a stupid comment, but it's valid, right? If the reason you say that is because you liked Cradle of Filth when they weren't melodic, which might sound weird, but it's because you liked them because they were so chaotic, I get it. They're not that way anymore. They're still heavy, and they still have a lot of songs some of the songs are slower, but they still have they're faster, more chaotic songs. But if you are looking for what they sounded like, if you're looking for Dusk and Her Embrace or Cruelty and the Beast, that is not what it's going to be. But in fairness, they haven't sounded like that. I mean, Manticore and Other Horrors, if you like Manticore, or you like Hammer of the Witches or Cryptoriana, these are all that way, and they're all just they're great records. I would say it picks up where the last record leaves off. I don't want to say it's better than Existence is Futile. I don't want to say it's better, but it's easily as good, and I loved that album. And the only reason I can't say it's better is because I've had it for 2 days, and I've been listening to Existence since it came out. But I love it, man. Like I said, Trinity of Shadows, Non Omnis Moriar, and You Are My Nautilus are just they're incredible songs. And I just think, like I said, if you like Cradle, I think you should go for it. I know Rex, and look, I totally get why you haven't listened to it. Like, if you're not in the mood for Cradle of Filth, you shouldn't listen to Cradle of Filth. They're not a band you should listen to when that's not what mood you're in, because they're not going to do it for you, you know? But when you're in the mood for it, check it out. It's a shoe-in for my top 10 this year. I mean, who the hell knows where it's going to be? I mean, Dream Theater is a shoe-in clearly for my top, my top list. I don't like predicting anything, but the new Dream Theater and the new Cradle of Filth are freaking amazing. If they're not in my top 10, this would be the greatest year in metal. If those two albums can't make my top 10, this year is crazy, because I mean it's fantastic. So anyway, Cradle of Filth, Screaming the Valkyries, that's my pick of the week, and I know you've got stuff you want to talk about.
All right. Yeah, no, Cradle of, I want to listen to it, but again, I haven't been in the mood, so maybe this weekend I'll give it a whirl. Although, you know, one thing I was going to bring up before, and you had mentioned just now actually something relevant, and that's
yay, I got something relevant.
well,
Go me.
no, relevant to what I want to talk about.
Oh, well, thought it was cool.
Well,
for me.
real quick, I just want to talk about, so you had mentioned you were listening to like a handful of songs like over and over and over again, and that actually recently happened to me too.
Sure.
You know, so one thing I ordered, so I have always been a fan of the Ministry song "Jesus Built My Hot Rod." I like Ministry well, I shouldn't say I like Ministry. I like a period of Ministry's music, like specifically centered around Psalm 69.
That's a great album.
You know, Filth Pig's okay, and
see, I had Filth Pig, and I was like, this record kind of sucks. And you taped Psalm 69 for me, and I was like, well, I know Jesus Built My Hot Rod. And then I got Filth Pig, and I was like, this isn't Jesus Built My Hot Rod. This is just crap. It's a better album in hindsight than I thought it was at the time. So I was upset at Ministry, because I'm like, what the hell? Jesus Built My Hot Rod's cool. And so, but you gave me that record. I remember going, oh, well, industrial's not my thing, but Psalm 69 is a cool album.
it's
a really cool album, actually.
Whenever I think of Ministry, I think of the Beavis and Butthead when they were watching the video for New World Order, and Beavis is
it's the New World Order of wrestling, brother.
Well, I always think of like Butthead's like, hey Beavis, check this out. He does the vocals. He goes, it just always killed me. Like you have to see it again. But
dude, go ahead, and then I
was gonna say. So
I'll tell the story when you're done.
I've always been like Jesus Built My Hot Rod has always been probably one of my favorite songs of all time. Like I was reading about the influences, and it's industrial, it's psychobilly, it's rockabilly, and I love all of those genres. Like I'm a huge Cramps fan. I love the Cramps. I love I like a lot of Reverend Horton Heat. I even have a hollow body guitar because I was figuring out, I was learning how to play some of that style because I'm a big oldies fan. I love Buddy Holly, and all that stuff's kind of spawned out of the oldies and everything. I love the Stray Cats. I love that. Anyway, so, but that song kind of blends all those styles. So it's kind of like industrial, it's rockabilly, it's psychobilly. It has a lot of those influences. So it's always just been one of my favorite songs. And I never owned the CD single of Jesus Built My Hot Rod. I had it. I borrowed it from somebody and ripped it onto my iTunes years and years and years ago, but I never actually bought the single. The difference is the single has the extended version, which is about 7.5 minutes long, which in my opinion is actually superior, not just because it's longer. I just feel like the song feels less rushed, as stupid as that sounds, because Ministry is notorious for being repetitive as hell. Like, I mean, New World Order is for like literally like 5 minutes, and when you watch it live, it's even more repetitive. But it's kind of like, the samples he uses. It's got a cooler intro. It's got, I don't know. I always felt like after hearing the extended version on the CD single, the album version always sounded cut off to me. So anyways, like, I finally bought the CD single. I got it, I got it on eBay. I got it, cheap. I hadn't seen it in person in a few years. So, there's two versions of that song. There's a song there's TV, a version of TV song. And it's really funny because I started reading about the song itself and the origin of the single, and it's hilarious because I read that the record label gave him a huge advance to write Psalm 60, what would eventually be Psalm 69. So he went in there and he started recording Jesus Built My Hot Rod, and Gibby Haynes from the Butthole Surfers happened to be in the studio. Like, I forget why he happened to drop into the studio. I don't know if he was recording another album there or whatever. And Al was like, "Hey, can you record vocals on this song?" And he was like, "Sure, no problem." And he was hammered. He was drunk. And basically he just did take after take after take until he got so drunk he passed out. And Al Jurgensen kind of took all of his takes and assembled it into something usable, and then did Jesus Built My Hot Rod. And then his guitar player and his drummer were trying to figure out, trying to play as fast as they could, which became TV Song, which is, I always love Connect the Goddamn Dots, Connect the Goddamn, I always love that song. It's so ridiculous. And so at the end, he goes back to the record label and says, "I have Jesus Built My Hot Rod and this other B-side TV song." And they're like, "Okay, but where's the rest of the album?" He goes, "Oh yeah, the thing about that is I spent the whole advance on drugs, so either release me from my contract, or give me more money." So they were like, "Okay, well, fine." Then they released the single Jesus Built My Hot Rod, which I guess did super well. I never was actually aware of how well that song did. There's also another interesting fact. He didn't play it live until the 2000s, because he said, because everybody would see Ministry expecting that song because it was such a huge song for them. But he said for years it felt wrong to do the song without Gibby singing it, so he never wanted to play it live. But anyway, so the whole point of me saying this is, again, I've always loved the song. I've always enjoyed every time it's been on. But for some reason this week, I have literally listened to that song 40 times. Like, if I've listened to it once, I've listened to it I don't know, about 40. I'm exaggerating, but, and it's, you're talking about I've been listening to these songs over and over and over again, and I don't know, it's funny how you get locked onto these songs, because it's happened to me recently. I'm trying to think of a song that happened to me recently on a recent album, and I can't think of what it is. Okay, this isn't metal, but Depeche Mode, Sweetest Perfection. For the past 3 weeks, I've listened to that song dozens of times just because it's so cool. I love it. So it's funny how you get hooked into these songs, and I like listening to albums, on vinyl and everything else like that, but just that song, I've just been listening to Jesus Built My Hot Rod over and over and over again, and finally I ordered, I was looked on Ministry site, and I'm like, oh, they have Jesus Built My Hot Rod patches and shirts. Well, I'm going to have to order those. So I did, and they should be here either tomorrow or Monday. So more than likely what the post office is going to do is send them to California on their way here from Minnesota. So I probably won't get them until sometime next week. But anyway, so I kind of wanted to just, mention that, it's kind of funny how sometimes you get songs stuck in your head and you just can't stop listening to them over and over and over, and you just drive them into the ground. And that's my current earworm, I guess is the term. So Yeah, I really didn't have a point in talking about that other than I just wanted. It's just something to talk about.
I just can't believe you went this long without saying anything about ding-a-ding-danging and dang-along.
Well, look, Jerry Lee Lewis was the devil. Jesus was an architect previous to his career as a prophet. You know, all of a sudden I found myself in love with the world, and so there was only one thing that I could do, was ding-a-ding-dang my dang-along-ling-long. You know, something else interesting I did not know?
What's that?
Burn the Priest actually covered this song.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's actually not a bad cover.
I don't want to hear Burn the Priest.
It's okay, and I guess Randy. You know, so for I guarantee that if you're a fan of Lamb of God, you know they used to be called Burn the Priest. But for those of you who are not fans of Lamb of God, they used to be called Burn the Priest. And I guess like Randy was totally not on board with doing it until he actually did the vocals, and he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is kind of fun." So I don't think they play it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, who am I? I don't think they play it right, but it sounds cool. I don't know. It's one of those songs where you wouldn't picture a metal band covering them because, you know, it's industrial, it's super repetitive, and it's frankly the lyrics are all nonsense. Oh, wow, 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 darling.
It's also,
you know.
I don't know. I mean, it's also kind of a. I mean, it's a song, but it's also just kind of a. I don't know how to describe it. Really, it's well, it's very Gibby Haynes. Let's be fair. It's very, very Gibby Haynes. I mean, I don't think there's any denying that.
Especially if you listen to a song by the Butthole Surfer. By the way, I don't think I mentioned this. Did I mention that he's, for those of you who don't know, some of you might actually be saying, who the hell is Gibby Haynes? He's the lead singer of the Butthole Surfers.
Butthole Surfers. And if you don't know anything about Butthole Surfers, they're
a weird band.
Interesting.
Weird in a good way, but weird.
They're very interesting.
It's funny because if you hear a song like "Who Was in My Room Last Night," the vocals match "Jesus Built My Hot Rod" almost perfectly. But if you listen to a song like "Pepper," nothing alike.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I love that song, by the way. "Who Was in My Room Last Night?"
If you want to have a little fun, look up the names that the Butthole Surfers went by before they were the Butthole Surfers. I actually, if I'm not mistaken, that just kind of stuck. I'm trying to find it on their Wikipedia. It is okay, let me see how many of these I can say. I'm just gonna do what I can. I'm gonna read this straight from the Wikipedia. They didn't start off as the Butthole Surfers. They changed their name at their first paid concert when the announcer forgot what the band was called, and they had a song title called Butthole Surfers, so they went by it. Prior to that, the Butthole Surfers performed under a different name in every live show. I know that Wikipedia is not always right, but these have got to be. If they're not, if any of these are wrong, that's fine. But I'm sorry, I'm just going to say what I can. Their early aliases included the Dick Clark 5, 9-centimeter Worm Makes Own Food, the Vodka Family Winstons, Ashtray Babyheads, Ed Asner is Gay, Fred Astaire's A-Hole, but they say A-Hole, The Right to Eat Fred Astaire's A-Hole, but they say it, The Inalienable Right to Eat Fred Astaire's A-Hole. I mean, like, they're in a 96 Rolling Stone interview, when asked if he could go back and choose a more culturally acceptable name, Haynes replied, I'm just going to say this, and I'll bleep out the one word. So, and I've seen this, and this is true. I'm assuming what he says is true, but I know at least the moral behind this is true. In a 96 Rolling Stone interview, when asked if he would go back and choose a more culturally acceptable name, in other words, they're like, well, you're called the Butthole Surfers. Would you rather go back and change it to something more culturally acceptable? Haynes replied, I would name the band, I'm going to SH in your mother's vagina. Like, Gibby Haynes is an interesting dude. And the Butthole Surfers, they're an awesome band. I don't even care if they're not really my thing, because they're really not. I mean, Electric Larryland is an incredible album. And I know that's their record that people know. And Pepper is an awesome song. But just in general, they're a band who, if they're not your thing, you got to look at them and go, well, yeah, but you're pretty cool.
No, I mean it's
and,
like
and Gibby Haynes on that song is perfect. Like, that song would not have been that song if it wasn't for that.
I mean, actually, it's funny because and you're right. It's he made the song,
and that's by the way taking nothing away from Ministry. It's just sometimes something that doesn't make any sense, like ding-a-lang dang, my dang-along ling-long, works. Sometimes it just works.
Well, that was Al, but yeah, it was.
But I'm saying, like, sometimes lyrics that stupid work, and sometimes that song worked.
And the funny thing is talking about the Butthole Surfers again, real quick, is again Beavis and Butthead. The first time I ever saw the Butthole Surfers was not the Pepper music video. It was the Beavis and Butthead where they watched the video for Who Was in My Room Last Night, because to this day I can't help but have this reaction. So in the video, it's just this weird, kind of inspired by the old '60s like Rat Fink style art. I can't remember the name of the artist, but cartoon
I can't think of
animation in between like a live action stuff. But Flea shows up in the music video. Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah. He's a bartender. And it's just, to this day, Beavis and Butthead, Flea shows up. They're like, oh my God, it's Flea. It's Flea. It's Flea. So to this day, every time I see Flea in something, like even if I'm sitting there watching Back to the Future, I'm like, oh my God, it's Flea. It's Flea. It's Flea.
That's awesome.
So, but I love that song, Who Was in My Room Last Night. It's borderline industrial too. It's funny because Pepper was their biggest song, and it's
a great song, by the way.
But they made it to make fun of Beck. They actually made the song Pepper to make fun of Beck, and they didn't expect it to actually blow up, and it was like ended up being like their biggest song. So
it's a great song. I actually, it's one of my favorites to sing at karaoke because it's the vocals are lower, so it's easier for me to sing it. Actually, my funny story about that song was again, it's an easy freaking song to do for karaoke. And so I was at a karaoke bar with at work one time, and I'm like, oh, this is I was out with a couple of colleagues. I was like, I'm gonna do that song, and I get up and I'm they were all in love with Dying. They were doing it in Texas, and I'm up there singing it, and I went, I'm in Texas, aren't I? Damn it. I was at a bar in San Antonio, not realizing. No, I was in Houston when I was in Houston when I did that song. Anyway, I'm getting up there doing that song. I'm like, of all damn places, I would not do this song. Not because I'm going to make anybody mad, but just because it's lame. It's like, oh. Anyway. But I love that song. And the Butthole Surfers are cool. Like I said, they are not a band who I would call my thing as much as this. There's some bands you got to look at them and go, yeah, you're pretty cool. And plus, if you're making fun of Beck, it's fine with me.
Where it's at.
But Beck was married to the redhead from Dazed and Confused. Am I wrong?
I have no idea.
I like them redhead. You know what I'm talking about? Like
her name was Ribisi. She was related to Giovanni Ribisi, like that whole
Am I crazy? She was married to Beck for a while.
What was her name? It was something Ribisi was her name. That's all I remember.
You like them redheads?
All I know is that some will die in hot pursuit and fiery auto crashes. Some will die in hot pursuit while sifting from my ashes. Some will fall in love with life and drink it from a fountain that is pouring like an avalanche sounding down the mountain.
Ribisi, but I'm curious.
I don't mind the sun sometimes, the images it shows.
I don't mind the sun sometimes. I love that song. It's just... Yeah, she was married to Beck in 2004. There you go.
Whatever.
I'm not crazy. I don't care what else she did in her life. She was the redhead in Dazed and Confused. The rest of her life is just meaningless to me. I don't even care if I'm sorry. I just feel that if you're in Dazed and Confused, the rest of your career is generally meaningless to me. There's exceptions. I mean, Ben Affleck was in Mallrats and he's funny in that, we don't, and sometimes you have an Abraham Lincoln beard and it's like, well, I guess I'll forget you were in Rent, whatever. It's fine. So, but yeah, no, it's a cool song. I love that song. Can I throw it out as like, there are just songs that, I would be willing to tell you that loads of people know that song but don't have a clue what it is.
Which song?
I would also say there's probably today, like right today, if you were to play that song in front of people who like generally heavier music or whatever, the kind of people who would be open to a song like that.
Which song are you talking about?
Sorry. Jesus Built My Hot Rod. Sorry.
Yeah, see, I thought you were talking about Pepper.
No. Well, Pepper too. Actually, we could say the same thing about Pepper. I was gonna say those are two just kind of universally liked songs. Like I've never had anybody hear Pepper and go, that song sucks. But Jesus Built My Hot Rod for sure is a song that anybody that I've ever known that would be into a song that's like, heavier 90s, industrial or alternative. They all like that song because it's awesome. You don't even have to Gibby adds to it to where it is clearly a Ministry song, but it has its own, in the same way where like Pepper doesn't sound like the other stuff that Butthole Surfers do. As much as Jesus Built My Hot Rod is a Ministry song, it also kind of doesn't sound like one. I will say this though, the only problem with Jesus Built My Hot Rod, I do know loads of people who loved that song and ended up really disappointed by Ministry. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with Ministry, just they didn't realize that wasn't exactly what all their stuff sounded like, I guess.
Well, it fits in well with Psalm 69 because it does. New World Order, Scarecrow, all that stuff, it fits in well with that. But if you listen
New
to
World
like
Order. Wrestling, brother.
If you listen to the actual title track, Psalm 69 and stuff, but if you listen to like their earlier stuff, I don't even want to say the name of one of their albums just because I don't want the podcast to get flagged. Or like Filth Pig, or especially their later stuff. My biggest problem with Ministry has always been I found them incredibly repetitive.
Can I say this though? They do have one of the coolest live album names ever.
Sphincter.
No, in case you didn't feel like showing up, that is just.
They have
awesome.
Another live album called Sphincter.
No, sure. But I always just thought that in case you didn't feel like showing up, like that's just awesome. I don't know why. I had a buddy of mine I used to work with like a million years ago. He was one that, I knew the album, but he pointed out to me, he's like, that is the coolest live album name ever. And I went, you're not wrong. He also thought the greatest name for an instrumental was Iron Maiden's Lost for Words, because that's just cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry. What is the full name of Psalm 69 is cool too.
Oh,
what's the
way to succeed
eggs?
and the way to suck eggs?
Yeah, right. It's just funny. You know me. I don't get into music when it's overly political. Sometimes they go a little farther in that, especially as of late.
Al, especially like recently, has been super political, which is whatever. That's what he wants to do.
It's also not uncommon over the last few years. I will say this though. And you can tell me if you agree or disagree. I had not heard their new album. I still have not heard their new album. I don't remember what
Ministry?
It's called. Ministry, yeah. Sorry, we're on Ministry now. I saw them on their tour last year.
Yeah,
and they played a couple of songs off the new record, and I thought they kicked ass.
Ministry,
they were really cool.
I've seen them twice now. I saw them when they opened up for Slayer on their farewell tour and I saw them when they played before Jerry Cantrell.
I don't think they had that new album out when you saw them with Slayer.
No, they didn't. I didn't. My biggest thing. So when they actually did a retrospective when they opened up for Slayer, I'd have to look at the set list.
Which
they
is
played
also
a lot of old stuff. old stuff. From I'm talking going back to like A Mind Is a Terrible Thing to Taste and The Land of
which is a cool record.
Blank and Honey.
Is.
Those albums are good. It's funny because Al Jurgensen did a lot with Skinny Puppy. He did the album Rabies with Skinny Puppy, and it's one of the albums that actually divides a lot of the fans. So,
did you see the Alice Cooper tour?
Mm-hmm.
So you also saw them there. What you said you saw them with Slayer, right?
Yeah, Slayer. Did I see him open up for Alice Cooper? Oh yeah, what? I'm mixing
they
up.
didn't open for Jerry Cantrell.
Yeah. I'm mixing up. I'm mixing up I saw them in the same place, like within a month of one another. So I mixed up the
you and I saw slightly different sets, if I'm not mistaken. They played one different song, but BDE I think is one of the new ones.
I don't know.
Hopium for the Masses. So that's. Hold on. That would be. BDE, GD White Trash, and that song's really cool. GD White Trash is really cool. Just Stop Oil, I don't remember. I remember BDE and GD White Trash. Those songs are awesome. But I mean, if you look at their set list, it's one song from The Mind Is a Terrible Thing to Taste, one song from The Land of Blank and Honey, 3 songs from Psalm 69, and 3 songs from the new album. I thought the songs from the new album, like I'll put it this way. If you did not know Ministry and you saw them live and you saw that set list and I asked you, what are the songs from the new album? I really don't think you could have picked them. What I mean by that is I just think their new again, I have not heard the album. The new songs sounded like the same band who put out Psalm 69 in that. Like it could have been, they sounded like Psalm 69. Sometimes it's like, well, they're just kind of going back to what they used to sound like. As far as I'm concerned, it's cool. I really liked it, and I actually kind of want to listen to the new album now. But anyway.
I mean, they still stuck primarily with Psalm 69. I mean, they played an 8-song set, and 4 of them were from Psalm 69.
Well,
Stigmata,
last summer, though,
NWO,
like I said, 3 were from the new album.
Stigmata, NWO, Just One Fix.
Stigmata's a cool song, dude.
Yeah, it is. And those were all from
and that's a really cool song.
Wait, what the hell? Oh, sorry. Stigmata was not from Psalm 69. I forgot. That's from The Land of Honey.
Blank and Honey, yeah. It's a cool song. That's one of their. That would be one of their like well-known songs. I don't mean well-known as in like it crossed into mainstream appeal, but as far as Ministry goes, like that's one of their. Stigmata is one of their big ones. It's a great song.
Ministry for me, like. Sorry, yawning. Ministry for me is one of those bands that when they're good, they're good, and when they're not, they're not.
Yeah,
like
I totally.
In my opinion, they're not as good as writing. They're not Al. I shouldn't say they because really it's just Al Jurgensen. Al's not as good as at writing a what's the word I'm looking for here? Atmospheric album. So, like, if you listen to a Skinny Puppy album, old school industrial, like 80s, early 90s, a lot of the album, there's even entire parts of the album that aren't really songs as much as they're just collections of noises. So, like, Skinny Puppy always referred to it as they're painting with your ears. So they always referred to it as audio sculpting. So their goal wasn't to write a collection of songs. Their goal was to create a piece of art in music, and that's why like a lot of fans are split on the album Rabies because that album brought a lot of those Ministry influences, is like distorted guitars and all that other stuff, so it was a lot different after that. But Al is, in my opinion, isn't as good at creating an experience from A to B. He's better at writing songs than like a whole experience. The problem is, I think some of his songs, first of all, I think some Ministry songs drone on way too long. I think they're just sometimes overly repetitive. I mean, when they're cool, but I think sometimes he relies too heavily on just like, I'm going to make a bunch of noise and pretend like it's and whatever. I'm not going to tell somebody what their art is.
What I find funny is, so this is I don't know, a year or two ago when I got kind of bored sitting in my basement, and I have written like 6 or 7, maybe 8 songs that I spent 2 hours on, and they were straight up just guitar riff, drums, and samples of things. And it's funny that the couple people I've shown them to, they're all like, this straight up sounds like Ministry. I'm like, I didn't mean it to sound, I totally didn't mean it to sound like Ministry. And it's just funny because I'm not, when I think, now I realize this is an isolated thing. It was just me kind of screwing around. I just think it's hilarious that I end up writing a bunch of stuff that sounds like, and I mean, I'm aware I use samples, which Ministry did a lot of. I don't know. I just think it's interesting that I ended up writing stuff that kind of ended up sounding like Ministry, despite the fact that of all the bands that I would write music like, Ministry isn't it. And this has nothing to do with anything. It's just a weird thing about how that works. But I agree with you, dude. When Ministry's good, they're freaking really good. I know you were talking about Skinny Puppy. It just made me think of that.
Well, no, it's like, but I'm just saying it's like the difference between, I've been listening, a lot of the stuff I've been listening to lately is it's meant to be consumed as a whole work versus a song. And it's funny because I was listening to Nine Inch Nails recently, and if you listen to the Downward Spiral, it's got songs on it. Whereas, where every song is like kind of, it's not, I'm going to say its own thing because it does flow, but if you listen to The Fragile, really and truthfully, that album is meant to be listened to from start to finish. Like, yes, there are things you can pull out of there, like Star Effers, whatever was a single. We're in This Together was a single.
I actually remember that song now that you mentioned it. I forgot that song existed.
But like at the same time,
Star Effers, what is like Incorporated or something?
Yeah, Star Effort.
I forgot that song existed. Wow, that's cool.
It was written about Courtney Love and Marilyn Manson, I believe.
That makes sense.
But because I think he was dating Courtney Love at the time, and he like basically realized she was using him to further her career rather than actually have a relationship.
Courtney Love using someone?
Imagine that.
No.
Hey, at least he got out alive. Too soon. No, but I mean, but if you listen to that album, the way it flows, and each song flows into the next, and that each song kind of leads up to the next, and it kind of builds, and it's meant to really kind of be consumed as a piece of work versus something
which
like,
I like. I typically like that.
I do too if it's done right. And that's what I'm saying about Ministry is I think sometimes Ministry, he's just so and look, I know there's a Ministry fan out there who's going to say I don't get it, I'm crazy, and Al Jurgensen is the best thing to ever happen to music, and fine, I'm not telling people
I don't get it.
I mean, I'm not telling people that they can't listen to Ministry. I'm not telling that they can't like me. I'm not telling anybody that Ministry can't be their favorite band or shouldn't be their favorite band. I'm saying for me, as much as I love industrial and as much as I love, albums like that, I think sometimes what Al does is he focuses so much on making noise, and he doesn't go anywhere with it. He's like, I'm going to play this guitar riff 50 times, and then I'm just going to go into something else, and that's the song. And over that, I'm just going to just put samples over it, which, the one thing I said about your stuff, you were talking about your stuff and how it sounded like Ministry. I said it sounds like, like industrial or like crust punk or something like that. And I said, it reminds me of Ministry because I'm like, it sounds like it wants to end 2 minutes before it does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there's that too.
I was like,
the first 2 songs I wrote were that way. After that, I was like, nah. Well, I took her advice and I wrote them a lot shorter after that.
Because I was like, after a while,
because it's in my nature to write longer songs, and I agreed with you. I was like, yeah, these don't make sense. These get really annoying if they're longer.
Well, I was like, and this is what Al Jurgensen does. He uses the same sample or the same vocal pattern over the same riff, and he'll do it over and over and over. And again, I get it. He wants to say something and everything else. That's fine. And I'm not sitting here saying he can't or shouldn't do it. Well, but it's like I say about Tool. I say the same thing. Like, people are like, love Tool, and they think that they wish every Tool song could be 48 minutes long, and I'm the guy that's sitting here saying I might like Tool more if every song they wrote was half as long as it was.
Let me ask you this, though. You and I can sit back and be like, Ministry songs are too long, they're super repetitive.
Some are.
No. Let's just say whatever. There's.
I'll listen to a 15-minute version of Jesus Built My Hot Rod. I don't care.
Sure, but I mean, a lot of their songs. I mean, even New World Order is a great song, but it's super repetitive.
Well, when they played it live, I was sitting there going like, "Oh my god, I get it."
But here's my question, though: was it that way because he was writing songs that were less, I'm going to sit in my room and put headphones on and listen to this, as it was meant to be played somewhere? I don't want to be like I don't want to say in a club. It's a wrong way to say it. But was it meant to be played somewhere that in the 90s it would have made a lot of sense that a song like that would be repetitive? Because I mean, it wasn't a rave. It wasn't I don't know what I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, it might have been played. And look, I've never been part of this scene, but it might have been played in a goth club. It might have been played.
Right, that's what I mean.
Back then there were industrial clubs and stuff. So
am I? I mean, because to me, I'm with you at a concert. But let's also say this though. At a concert, if you're drinking beer and half the crowd is getting high, not my thing, whatever. You're getting drunk. You're hanging out with your buddies.
Well,
it's kind of cool. It's way cooler in that situation than when you're just listening to the song in your car, going end this song. It's awesome. I mean, but end it.
The Grateful Dead made a freaking career out of playing the same chorus for 40 minutes. So no, I mean, and the thing is, like, again, I want to make sure people hear me. Like, I'm not criticizing or saying minister. Like, I think Psalm 60.
It's a conversation.
I think Psalm 69 is. I mean, honestly, you know, thinking about it, I don't think there's a weak track on the album. I think
there isn't. It's a great album.
It's probably a perfect. You know, it's never an album I've ever considered to be perfect, but it probably is if I really took an objective look at it. But
like I said, when we first became friends, I remember you saying like, "This is one of my favorite albums," and years later, all those years that we were playing in a band, I remember you saying like, Ministry was a great example of something that is industrial, but there are killer riffs in there. Mm. Yes, he plays them a billion times in a row, but there are awesome guitar riffs in there. I mean, come on, dude. Again, the song. Jesus Built My Hot Rod. You know, we get that. But again, look at Stigmata, and I realize different album, but the title track, look at New World Order. There's other ones.
The song blanking. Paisley, and I think that I don't remember if that was on Filth Pig 2, but it was on Escape from L.A., the soundtrack.
As long as they're not playing Tonight We Murder, I'm usually
yeah, that song
the worst
is
song freaking ever.
Tonight we murder.
I don't know where that came from. Why in the world they would ever make that song, because it was garbage in words that I don't even know how. Just One Fix is a cool song.
Just One Fix.
That's an awesome song. What was the song that you mentioned?
Paisley. It's off the Escape from LA soundtrack.
Okay. Yeah, Filth Pig is just like.
Actually, is it on Filth Pig? Let me find out.
Lava. I think it was the Lava song that. Lava.
The title track to Filth Pig's really good.
It's the song Lava, I think, that ruined me on that record. Maybe I would like it more now. Maybe I totally wouldn't. I do kind of want to listen to Psalm 69. I do. Just because I haven't. I don't know. I mean, I didn't mean for this to be a.
I have it on vinyl.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I am not a Ministry fan enough to want to get it on vinyl.
It's actually really cheap.
Well, I mean, maybe. I'll put it this way. I'm not a Ministry fan enough that it's going to be something I order. It's I'm a Ministry fan enough where, like, if I saw it in a store and it wasn't expensive, well, I'll pick that up. Or if I'm, I'm already ordering things and I'm like, oh, I need to order something else to hit free shipping. I mean, I'd get it. It's just, it's not a record I'm on the lookout for, but I actually haven't listened to it in a long time. That sounds like big
Oh my
fun
God.
tonight. What's
Oh
that?
my God.
What?
Ugh. So I read about
almost
this
said
and I
something and I
never
won't.
listened to it. They re-recorded "Jesus Built My Hot Rod" for like their greatest hits. It sounds awful.
Yeah. Oy.
Oh my God! Every day is Halloween. Oh my God, is it awful? I never want to hear that again. I want to buy every copy to ruin it, to just destroy them.
Ugh.
Why? Why do you like when you do something
Why,
good?
God?
Like when you do something good, just freaking leave it alone.
So George Lucas is the world's greatest example of why you leave something good alone.
Like again, I'm not going to tell somebody like what to do with their art. I mean, these are Al Jurgensen songs and he owns them and I don't, but at the same time it's like, dude, like you did something. It's like we said about John Schaefer. Like, dude,
Pissing
you
all
did
over his own
something
music.
excellent. Do you have to piss all over it?
Dude, what an asswipe for doing that. I'm serious. Like,
There you go, you did it.
yeah. It was one of those Rex told me where I was like, we got to bring back the word asswipe. I was like, I'll say it during the show.
I was like, people don't call people ass wipes enough.
And when I say it, I don't mean like I've been known to call toilet paper asswipe just
me
because
too. I
again,
call it ass paper. Yeah.
Well, no, just growing up in a family of Marines, calling it asswipe is just one of those, No, I mean, dude, to this day, when I gotta go, I still say I gotta hit the head. Like that's just, again, you grow up in around Marines, there's things you pick up, but referring to toilet paper as asswipe is not the same as referring to some numbnuts as asswipe.
An ass wipe. You're an ass wipe.
You're an asswipe. Listen, numbnuts. I love numbnuts. I don't know what it is about that term. I just think it's awesome. And there's some people that's just the right term. Like, what else they're a numbnuts, and there's no better way. And you go, you know what? I don't know what that means, but I know it. That guy is it. I don't know.
It's just like the same thing. You see somebody like that guy's an ass wipe. Like
you don't literally mean he wipes asses for a living, but
I mean, he might.
Well, maybe
Maybe he does.
But-
I don't know the guy.
when
All I know
someone
is he
goes,
looks
to
like
you,
an
well,
ass
what do you exactly mean when you say he's an ass wipe? I'm like, look at him. That's what an ass wipe is.
See that guy over there? Yeah, that's an ass wipe.
That's an ass wipe. We're just go hang out with people, not them.
Why not? Well, that guy's an ass wipe.
No, it just makes me think of when we were at the concert.
No, I know,
Like,
that's
let's
what
go
I'm
hang out with
saying.
some cool people, not him.
You're like, yeah, let's park next to some cool people, not him.
I wasn't wrong, folks. I
Yeah, you
wasn't
weren't.
wrong.
I don't think that person's mom got them.
Oh man, no. I don't think anybody
So-
got them. I'm not entirely
No.
sure they get themselves. You know what I mean? When you look at someone, you're like, dude, your own right hand wouldn't screw you.
He like goes to like hit it and his hand just closes up.
His hand is like, no. His
Does the
hand
claw.
sounds like Mr. Dude, when he goes to wank it and his hand sounds like Mr. Bill. It's like,
Oh no!
oh, it's terrible. But if you saw the guy, you would be like, nope, I agree. Kind of, like I said, if you saw someone that you're like, he's an asswipe, you go, you know what? Yes, he is. Sometimes, again, you don't know how to describe a word, but you know when you see it. That guy's an asswipe. This guy is a dick cheeseburger or whatever. Sometimes people. It just makes sense. I don't know. This is a weird ass night. Probably because I'm drinking. You like drinking? You like drinking. Who the hell
Who
don't?
the hell don't? The way to succeed and the way to suck eggs.
Well, hey, why don't we grab some? Okay, I don't even know where the hell we are, like, time-wise. Are we even... We're at,
About
like,
an hour and
a
20.
half. Well, do you want to do one of those you pick guy things videos where we're like,
One of those dick
let's...
cheeseburgers.
Yeah. I know I look like one of those dick cheese burgers.
All right, let me see if I can find one.
Those are always just fun conversation. I know, like, and for our listeners' benefit, these are things that Rex downloads.
All right.
Look, I'm too busy downloading porn. He downloads, these like you pick one, and the problem is he sees them, so it's less of a spur of the moment thing for you, because even if you don't spend time thinking about it beforehand, you've seen them where I haven't, so it's completely a surprise for me. But
so I've got one for you, and I don't know. I honestly don't know what you're going to say. Like, I can say I have suspicions.
Okay.
But I honestly am kind of honestly not sure about this one. So here's one. This might be. I have a feeling that this is going to be super easy for you, or you're going to have to think about it like for a while.
Okay.
Right,
so explain. This is one of those.
So
is it four?
I got these off of For the Love of Metal Facebook page.
Right.
So it's a plug for that Facebook page. Check it out. It's actually a nice Facebook page where people don't constantly post about politics, and everybody's generally seems to be pretty chill. No, they don't. I have not seen any ass wipes in this group yet. So,
wait, hold on. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it because there are no people there that should be called an asswipe, or it's just not the kind of group of people that would call someone an asswipe?
I have not seen anybody that I would call an asswipe. So,
because you realize that
I
this
like
is
to
different.
I like to consider myself an authority on what an asswipe is like. So,
I mean, like I said,
I'm
there's
not
a
that I am
difference
one,
between
but-
this guy's an asswipe. We're just a nice community that doesn't want to tell him. Versus, nope. There's actually. We would tell.
I have
someone
not
they're an
seen
asswipe.
anybody I would consider an asswipe.
All right, but
All right,
just what would you say it if? Anyway, go on with the question. That was a stupid
But
one.
anyway, so here's the four. So I'm going to give you 4 albums, and you got to pick one. The rest are blown into oblivion, not in the same way as the movies you watch.
Okay.
So here we go. Saxon, Denim and Leather.
That's a great
Venom's
album.
Welcome to Hell. Def Leppard's High and Dry.
We've done this before, and my answer was High and Dry.
What the hell? I don't remember doing this. Did I
Because
download
it's definitely not. And what's the fourth one? I don't remember what it is.
Iron Maiden's Killers?
Yeah,
We did do it. Why do I have multiples?
It was High and Dry, and
damn it.
the reason is
I gotta delete that one.
is because it's clearly not black metal. Because after we did this one, I went
Welcome
back and
to
I
Hell.
listened. I hadn't listened to black metal in a million years. And when we were done with this episode, I actually went back and listened. So I guess as a follow up, I did listen to black metal, and I did confirm it's just not for me.
Welcome to Hell is the album, though.
Oh, sorry. Welcome to Hell. Even still,
All right.
not for me. And I love Killers. Don't get me
I
wrong.
got another one for you then. So
Okay.
here it is. Wait, what album is that? So we got, I think it's White Snake self-titled.
The that's like the white one.
Yeah, it's a white one with like a medallion in the middle.
Yep.
Anthrax, Among the Living. Def
Okay.
Leppard's Hysteria, or Motley Crue's Girls, Girls, Girls.
Okay, hold on.
Here,
It's,
I sent it to you.
No. I'm thinking. Was this 86 or 87?
87.
Okay. These are all 87 albums, right?
Yeah.
Because
I know for a fact Among the Living came out in 87.
Rick Allen lost his arm in 86, which tells me that Hysteria is 87. Girls, Girls, Girls would make sense that it's 87 because Dr. Feelgood's 89. I am now very curious to see how... We did not do this one before.
No, this one I know we didn't.
I am now curious if I am... Is 87... Girl, yeah, okay, it's 87. Hey, I am not a complete dingus. This is actually hard. This one's hard. The problem with so it's the self-titled Whitesnake record, Anthrax Among the Living, Girls, 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 and Hysteria. What makes this hard is these are 4 albums I really like for completely different reasons. And none of them are my favorite album by the band that they're from. My favorite Anthrax album is Spreading the Disease, if we're talking the Joey Belladonna records. And I only say that because it's very hard for me to put the Belladonna records and the John Bush records in the same category. I don't like one over the other. They're just completely different things. Girls, Girls, Girls is actually a really good album. It's not my favorite Motley Crue album. It's not as bad as Theater of Pain. It's not as good as
anything else.
It's better than Theater of Pain, but every other 80s Motley Crue album is better.
Big Mac 103.
The first one is great. Shout at the Devil's great. Girls, Girls, Girls is there's a few tracks on it that are actually really awesome. As a whole, it's not as good as the other ones. So I'm going to knock Girls, Girls, Girls out. Hysteria is a great freaking album.
Armageddon it. Pour some shook up ramen.
Oh, man.
You know, the soup. Love Bites. Oh, man.
That
Animal. Animal. Women. But it's got your song. Women. Lots of pretty women.
I mean, here's my deal with Def Lepp, right? If I'm going with their more commercial records, I like Pyromania better. Pyromania is the cutoff between they were still kind of a metal band, but were commercial, versus Hysteria, which is like, no, screw it, we're an arena rock band and we just want to make every track on this a single. Remember, Hysteria is the record they tried to make Thriller. They wanted every song on it to be a freaking single.
And I want, and I need, and I love Animal.
Hysteria is a great song. Love Bites is an amazing song. Animal's an amazing song. I'm gonna go Anthrax, and I will tell you why. Albeit Anthrax Among the Living is not my favorite Anthrax album. It is their album that has all their. I mean, when you think of Anthrax with Joey Belladonna, damn near most, other than maybe, I'm talking the casual Anthrax fan, other than Madhouse, all the songs they think of are on Among the Living. It is a freaking great album. It's not my go-to with Joey Belladonna, but
dude.
the
I Am the Law.
Yeah,
Skeletons in a Closet.
I love
Indians.
Whitesnake. That's got Crying in the Rain and Still of the Night, Here I Go Again, which we all know Here I Go Again
is a remake.
It's a remake, right? But, I mean, dude, it's got Crying in the Rain, Still of the Night, Here I Go Again, Is This Love?
It doesn't have, I've been a fool for your loving no more. A fool for your loving no more.
No, that's on Slip of the Tongue.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but you know what Anthrax doesn't have? Anthrax doesn't have Tawny on a freaking car.
Well, neither does this album, technically.
Okay, so we have to take Tawny out of the equation, right? Because she's not really on the album; she's just in the video.
I mean, Def Leppard's got women, lots
but
of
not
pretty
on the
women.
album. I mean, they kind of look like women, but they weren't.
Dude, Tawny's not on the album, is she?
No, I meant like Def Leppard. No, she's not on the album; she's only in the videos.
Right.
So
that's what I said. So it's, Def Leppard, if you watch their music videos, have tons of hot chicks.
Anthrax had zero.
Scotty in.
Yeah. Anthrax definitely had zero Scott.
Although Although my question is, did anybody from Def Leppard or Whitesnake have a line out their door and go next?
I don't know. So okay. Look, these are all records I really love. Girls doesn't stack up to the other ones. And look, I realize these are all themed as 1987 records. And I realize that's why the list is put together. Hysteria is the big Def Leppard album. Again, though, if this is Pyromania, this is a freaking hard one. Can I say, like, okay, let's try this with every album, with every band. If you swap out Among the Living for Spreading the Disease would win. But if you swap out Motley Crue for Dr. Feelgood or Def Leppard for Pyromania, then we have a problem. You know what I mean? Like, if you swap out their best 80s album by all these bands, yeah, God, how do you beat Pyromania? Like,
well, it's not about what's objectively the best album, though.
No, but I just mean like wall to wall, track for track. Like, what's it would be super hard for me to pick much of anything over Pyromania. It's just such a freaking good album. But Hysteria, admittedly, is a great record. But when I go, I'm a bigger Def Leppard fan up through Pyromania. Hysteria is one of those. It has a few tracks I like. So I'm going to go Anthrax, Among the Living. I would be shocked if you don't agree with me.
Yeah, I'm going to go Anthrax, too. I mean, like, look, I will say this. Whitesnake and Motley Crue don't hold a candle, in my opinion, to either ones. First of all, I'm not a very big Whitesnake fan. I'm a Whitesnake fan in passing, meaning if I want to listen to cheesy 80s music, I will definitely, I might put, I think I have Slip of the Tongue on cassette, so I might put that on if I feel like listening to some cheesy, 80s.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
I started playing drums because of Tommy Aldridge.
Look,
in the Here I Go Again video.
Well, Steve Vai played guitar for Whitesnake for a while. Like, again, I'm not saying they suck, but I'm saying, like, for me,
I mean, I love Whitesnake, but
the Whitesnake would let me put it this way: you'd have to put some real crap shingles on here for me to pick Whitesnake over almost any other band that I like. Unless you're asking me like what's an objectively better album, because I can say that maybe you could win that conversation with some others. But
I would say again, if you're objectively saying it's probably Hysteria, just because it's well produced. I mean, it's kind of hard to. But we're not going that route.
No, we're not, and that's why I said if you were to go that route, you might have a case. But Girls, I got to be honest with you, I've never liked that album outside of the title track and Wild
There's
Side.
Maybe 2 songs on it that are awesome.
Yeah, Wild Side and the title track are awesome. Is the Smoking in the Boys Room cover on this?
I'm sorry?
I can't remember. Is the Smoking in the Boys Room cover on this?
No, that's on Theater of Pain.
Is that on Theater of Pain? Okay.
Yeah.
What else is on this album then? I honestly, the first 2 tracks are all I can ever remember.
Girls.
Yeah, the first two tracks. That's why
a couple of freaking Jailhouse Rock, but no,
that was it. Jailhouse Rock, that was it.
Yeah.
So
their cover of "Smoking in the Boys Room" is the only good thing about Theater of Pain. Okay, I realize "Home Sweet Home" is their big like power ballad. Fine. The only song from Theater of Pain I want to listen to is their "Smoking in the Boys Room" cover, which is cool. It's in character for them anyway. It's their it's in character for them.
I mean, I guess you know what? I like the song "You're All I Need" too. I like that song, but the rest, Wild Side, Girls, and "You're All I Need" are basically those are the only. And "You're All I Need" isn't even like. It's like I like that song. It's not even on the radar for me. If you were to ask me to name my favorite Motley Crue song, so
dude, the first 2 Motley Crue albums kick ass. And Too Fast for Love was essentially a self-made demo. Yeah. Sort of like the first Poison album. It was basically a demo.
I like Too Fast for Love. It was one of actually the first Motley Crue albums I ever bought on vinyl. I have like an old school copy of it.
I love that album. And Dr. Feelgood is just Bob Rock working magic.
Yeah.
Dr. Feelgood is one of those examples of Bob Rock going, I'm going to make an album that's better than you are. Like... I'm going to help you make a record that is far too good for you. Because, I like Motley Crue, but Dr. Feelgood is way better than that band should be able to put a record out. Too Fast for Love was just cool, but...
So Def Leppard, yeah. I mean, I gotta be honest. When I'm in the mood to listen to Def Leppard, I mean, I'm gonna go either Pyromania or Hysteria. I mean, yes, I like High and Dry. I like On Through the Night. I like, even Adrenalize has its moments. But I mean, the bottom line is like, I'm probably gonna go with either. And normally, you're right. It's probably gonna be Pyromania. Hysteria. I mean, I love Bites is probably one of my favorite Def Leppard songs.
And Armageddon is a cool song too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying there's other good songs there, but I'm saying like those are but one of those. But I gotta be honest with you, like Anthrax for me, like this album. And you're right, this album I don't think is my favorite Anthrax album either. I'd probably go also Spreading the Disease, but
or even
the
State of
songs
Euphoria
on this. Yeah, I mean, State of Euphoria. I don't know if I like State of Euphoria better than this. I gotta be honest with you, like those Joey Belladonna Anthrax albums, I love them all, and I bounce back and forth between which one is my favorite, and again, it depends on my mood. The only and some people are really not going to like me saying this. The only one I would say I've never put as my number one is Persistence of Time. I
think it's a production problem.
So I like Persistence of Time, but
so do I. But I think it's a production problem.
It's never been. Compared to Among the Living, State of Euphoria, and Spreading the Disease, I've never placed that album above any one of those three. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't be occasionally number 2 or 3 or 4, maybe depending on my mood, but I've never really placed it on there as far as that goes. And so, I mean, again, with Anthrax, I'm probably gonna have to go with Among the Living. Again, like you said, if you put Spreading the Disease on here, it's not even a hard conversation. It's not even a hard decision. But
if you put Pyromania on there, it is a hard decision.
Yeah, I mean, but again, like I mean, if you were to pick the best albums by all these bands, yes, it's a harder decision.
And I'm not picking the best albums. I'm saying like I love Pyromania.
Yeah,
I'm a big Def Leppard fan. I kind of always have been.
But so I mean, Anthrax has a lot of songs I really do like. It's got Among the Living. It's got Indians. It's got Imitation of Life. It's got Skeletons in the Closet, I Am the Law. NFL. It's got a lot of great stuff. And I don't know, like I said, you're right, though, in terms of like State of Euphoria. The title track, not title track, but Be All End All, rather, probably top 3, I'd say top 3 Anthrax songs.
We have had this conversation before, though, about Metallica, other bands. There is the Spreading the Disease is my favorite Anthrax record, but Among the Living is one of those track for track it wins.
Yeah.
Among the Living is their album that is stacked with all of their, look at every song in Among the Living. It's
doesn't have Lone Justice,
heavy
though.
hitters. I'm sorry?
Doesn't have Lone Justice, though.
No, Lone Justice, no.
Clear the streets as he rides into the town, because the nameless one's going to have some fun. He's going to bring an outlaw down.
Lone Justice is actually my probably second favorite Joey Belladonna Anthrax song from the 80s, and that's only because I'm a huge fan of the song Armed and Dangerous. Like, I'm a kind of obnoxiously big fan of the song Armed and Dangerous.
You know what's funny talking about Anthrax? So again, I mentioned this before on the show, and I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole of talking about books. So I'm not starting a conversation about books. I don't want to talk for 40 minutes about what books are reading.
Yeah, bad
right
idea, because I've been reading a lot.
No, I'm just saying that I'm not. But my point is, I've been reading Stephen King, and I joined a Stephen King group on Facebook, and it's funny the amount of times per week that people will literally post, "Hey, has anybody heard of this band Anthrax before? I heard they're big Stephen King fans." And look, I'm not making fun of somebody who just discovered Anthrax for the first time, but it's kind of funny that it's one of those things where it's kind of like, yeah, you found Anthrax, that's awesome. So it's funny because I don't know, but the only time it gets annoying is when people act like they're the first person to have ever heard of Anthrax. Like, oh, there's this band that no one's ever heard of called Anthrax, and I'm just like,
people will say that to me. They're like, "Yeah, did you know that?" I'm like, how long have you known me? If you've known me for more than 8 seconds, you know that I'm the kind of guy who knew that already. And that's not because I'm cool. It's because, like, I'm a metal guy. Like,
No, I mean,
people that are into that era of metal know that, because how could you listen to Anthrax from that era and not know that?
well, because the song "Among the Living" is about the stand.
It is.
And the song, and it's funny because everybody says,
MOON, that spells the stand, you know?
Well, but they talk about, oh yeah, the song "Among," you know. I always bring up also the song "Lone Justice" is supposedly about the gunslinger, the book, which is an awful book.
I refuse to allow that to be the case, because I love the song and hate that.
I never finished. I got halfway through the book, and it's The Gunslinger is the only book I have never finished, and I wanted to finish it because of the Anthrax connection.
The Gunslinger,
I got halfway through it and said I can't do this anymore, and I donated it.
That is why I refuse to ever read Stephen King again. I used to read a ton of Stephen King, and I read a bunch of his books, and then I tried to start reading The Dark Tower, and I'm like, this asswipe is supposed to be.
I'm going to name this episode "Asswipe."
All I'm saying is, dude, Stephen King, you're great at what you do. Stay the hell out of the fantasy section, because you suck. I'm sorry, he's the worst. And The Dark Tower just it sucks, and I don't care. I swear to God, I read it in like freaking high school, and I'm like, I will never read another book by Stephen King. I never have. I literally have not read Stephen King or watched a movie of his, like anything he's made since then. I haven't even watched the freaking 2 It movies because I hate him for putting out The Dark Tower. I am so petty, it's not even funny.
Well, Christine is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I have to watch it.
It's a great movie, but anything, I'm a I'm an epic fantasy guy, and leave your hands off of it.
The thing I always liked about
Go back to writing
Anthrax,
Carrie, where you're awesome.
The thing I always liked about Anthrax was they actually even put in the liner notes for Among the Living, like, this song is based. Oh yeah, it was like, the song Among the Living is based on The Stand by Stephen King. The song I Am the Law is based on Judge Dredd comics. Appearing in 2000 AD. I always liked how they did that, because one thing it was always cool was. A lot of metal is based on literature or pop culture things, and like everybody knows this by now. But the song "One" is based on Johnny Got His Gun.
Yeah,
I think Metallica's version is based on the movie more so than the book.
They didn't read the book; it was based on the movie.
Yeah, so it's based on the movie, which
Jason
was written on.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's based on a movie. Original book was Dalton Trumbo, but it's funny because a lot of metalheads went out and read that book because of that. And a lot of metalheads went out and read The Stand because of Anthrax. A lot of metalheads discovered Judge Dredd because of Anthrax. It's funny because, I think we're the one genre where if a band, how many people read the Rime of the Ancient Mariner because of Iron Maiden? How many,
I can still freaking quote it because of
water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink.
Day after day, we start. Here's the thing though, like, Creeping Death is because of the movie as well. They weren't, as much as it's about Exodus, like the second
the movie,
book of
the
the
Ten
Bible,
Commandments.
It's about because of the movie, The 10 Commandments. They were not, and this is not because they weren't intelligent guys, but in 1983 and 1984. James and Lars weren't sitting around and reading novels. They weren't sitting around looking for Bible verses. I mean, they just weren't. Kirk, again, like Dalton, like Johnny Got His Gun. They saw the freaking movie. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, and dude, someone might be like, "Oh, listen, you asswipe, you're wrong." Okay, fine. James Hetfield is gonna. James Hetfield told you personally.
Just picturing somebody messaging us, "Listen, asswipe."
Listen, asswipe. I'm pretty damn sure, though, Creeping Death was because of the freaking movie.
Listen, asswipe.
Listen, asswipe. If you learned anything today, it's that asswipe is an awesome term.
Bring it back. We need to start bringing back stuff like "Whip Your Skippy."
Yeah, I mean, dude, nothing has blown my skirt up like asswipe in a very long time.
It's funny because I was actually in a goalie group today, and out of nowhere, like the guy asked a question, and the guy replied, "Listen, asswipe," and I was like, "Hey, you know what? I haven't heard somebody called that in a long time." That's such a classic phrase, but yeah. So I don't know, so I guess Anthrax Among the Living for both of us. Yeah, the Def Leppard album. It's funny because Def Leppard is one of those bands where when I'm in the mood to listen to Def Leppard, I'm gonna listen to Def Leppard.
Can I say this though? Let me ask you this: when you're in the mood to listen to Def Leppard, though, are they dangerous?
Yes.
What I mean is, like, when I'm in the mood to listen to Def Leppard, I go and put on freaking like High and Dry and Pyromania, and dude, it will take over my stereo for a week.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely.
They're a freaking amazing band.
I just discovered a couple other nothing metal, but I discovered a couple other Dangerous albums this past week, and I like those albums, but at the same time I hate them because you're so busy listening to those that you're like can't listen to anything else. No, but yeah, you're right, and that's what I mean. When I'm in the mood to listen, that's exactly what I meant when I just said that. When I'm in the mood to listen to Def Leppard,
I was clarifying.
Nothing else will do. Like, it's funny because they're one of those bands where when you want to listen to them, no other band will fit that bill. Like, if you want to listen to High and Dry or Pyromania or Hysteria, and you don't have for some reason access, like your internet's down or something like that, you will go nuts because there is nothing else that will scratch that itch. I'm talking about if you don't own the physical copies, like if you're just streaming.
I know. No, there's just, dude, I'm serious. Like, if I want to, I cannot hear the opening riff of Too Late for Love and not be like, well, there goes my damn week.
Too late for love, cause it's too late.
I hear that, and I'm like, damn it. I'm going to be listening to High and Dry and Pyromania all damn week.
And then you're bringing on the heartache.
Oh, God, they're so good. Foolin' is such a good damn... I know. Look, I know these aren't Pyromania. Rock of
Saturday
Ages
Night, High and Dry.
Rock Till You Drop. God, Pyromania is such a good freaking
Die Hard
album.
the Hunter.
It's such a good freaking album.
Die Hard the Hunter.
I mean, Joe Elliott, I remember watching an interview one time where they asked Joe Elliott about, like, what's your favorite song you ever wrote or the best song you ever, whatever. And Joe Elliott flat out said, he's like, well, it's kind of hard to beat Photograph. And he's not wrong.
You.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those songs where, like, Photograph is just one of those songs.
I like Foolin' better, though, actually.
No, I do too. I just mean Photograph is one of those songs where you just go, you know what I mean? Like, there's songs when you walk out of the recording studio and you're like, this one's going to be huge. Like, dude, there's no denying that Photograph is one of those songs that is going to be huge. And everyone's going to like it. It's just, I mean, they used to say that the thing about Def Leppard is once they wrote Photograph and it was just, and everything they ever wrote sounded exactly like it. Like, Photograph was the song that everything else they ever did sounded like it.
It was the blueprint.
And I'm sitting here going, well, okay. If you wrote Photograph, you'd want everything else you wrote to sound like it too. Anyway, no, I know we're talking about Hysteria, not Pyromania, which I'm very glad about because, damn it, this would have been hard otherwise.
Rock of Ages.
Damn you, Def Leppard. No. I said I'm going to listen to Psalm 69, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go put on freaking Pyromania, even though, no, I want to listen to Pyromania. Damn you all.
It's funny because I don't even remember what album it's on, but I remember... Do you remember, I think you were still working at Blockbuster at the time, where they had the song Now on the trailer tape? Where it was the music video for that, and it was all about how this girl buys the Def Leppard t-shirt, and her brother steals it and leaves it at a swimming pool when he gets chased out, and somebody finds it at a thrift store, and then like the end of the video is she goes to a thrift store and finds the exact same T-shirt that she bought 30 years ago, and she so or eBays it or something like that.
I don't remember.
But that song now, I actually really like that song too, and that's like a more modern. I mean, when I say modern, I'm talking 20 years ago. But I like that song too.
I mean, Adrenalize has "Let's Get Rocked," which is a great song.
Let's get rocked.
Sorry, it's a great song. There's that old joke that what has 9 arms and sucks? Def Leppard.
Def Leppard.
I mean, I laugh because it's a funny joke, but.
And then the song that never applies to Vinny, "Make Love Like a Man."
Oh man,
Vinny gets personally called out by that song.
Years ago we did an entire episode about songs for erectile dysfunction. We got to do an entire episode about songs about Vinny's tiny pecker, because it would just be like, how many songs about shortcomings can you really? How many songs about I can't find it? I mean, Anvil would write it.
Lost
Anvil
in America.
Would write,
Lost in America.
Anvil would write a song about it. They're like, their first track is "Got a Flat Tire." The second track is "Pecker's Too Small." Not that I am not insinuating that Anvil have small peckers. I just mean they're the kind of band who would write a song about it, because Anvil songs are always about like what a crappy week you had. I mean, in the world of you had a crappy week, like you whipped it out and she couldn't find it, is about as crappy of a week as you could talk about. But oh, Vinny and your pecker. Oh man. I don't know.
Lost in America. Lost in America.
Do Def Leppard have any songs that could we equate? Hold on, let me look. Let me see. Okay. Photograph, Too Late for Love, Foolin'. Well, Foolin's a good one, right?
How about Lost My Better Half by Black Label Society?
Oh, God. Come on, half. He's not half. He's 1/16 at best.
Lost my better half.
I'll put it this way. If Vinny's pecker is his better half, I don't even want to know what's going on with the other. Man. The other half of him's got to be like John Cena, where you can't see him. You know what I mean? Oh, man.
His name is John Cena.
It's all just hogwash. Hogwash. It's the worst. It's the worst thing.
How
ever.
about Overkill, the song "No Feelings"?
No, that's funny. That is.
I think that's a cover of the Sex Pistols. I wonder if it's a cover of a Sex Pistols song. I can't remember.
Oh man,
Yes, it is. It's a cover of the Sex Pistols song. I couldn't remember if it was or not. I haven't listened to that album in a while. Oh,
I don't know, man. So are we for one of the few times? Well, that's not accurate. Probably a good half the time we agree.
yeah.
That's probably about half the time. Though
I was actually surprised. I got to be honest with you. I'm surprised that you picked Anthrax. Not that you don't like Anthrax. I just know that album, although again it's objectively probably one of their strongest albums, I know that one's never like been on your favorites list.
No, it's not. But I also think in this category, Girls doesn't stack up. I mean, Girls doesn't. It's kind of like Vinny's pecker. I mean,
I was going to say it's the Vinny's pecker of these four.
Well, no, that would be Theater of Pain, but we get the point.
Theater of Pain.
Vinny's pecker is the theater. It's the Theater of Pain of peckers. I mean, oh. The only thing good about it is the cover. Oh God, that's horrible. Oh, I need to drink more. Oh man, yeah, no, I'm
a dreamer.
Oh God, it's the Theater of Pain of peckers. It's the worst album. It's their worst album in a decade.
You got to send him that one. Hey, Vinny, by the way, we referred to your pecker as the theater of pain of peckers.
Because even you know it's not worth it. Oh, God.
It's the weakest among the rest.
All right. Dude, you got one more we can do before
let me see.
Before we tap
Let me
out?
see.
Even if it's not a good one, I don't care. I mean,
I'm looking. Let me
Vinny's
look.
isn't good.
We just did this one. What the? I don't know why these keep repeating. I saved a bunch of them, and I think what I did was I accidentally saved like a handful.
Which is definitely not anything you could describe about Vinny, because a handful, come on, dude.
All right, let's try this one. I'm curious about this
Okay.
one.
Let's
And
give it a
it's
shot.
another Def Leppard one.
Ooh,
All right, here we go. You ready? And I don't think we've done this one because I really, but who knows? Maybe I'm
I'll
screwing
let
up
you know.
again.
I mean, I remember these, but
Hang on, I gotta hey, I gotta check one thing before we do this.
okay.
I gotta check. Okay.
For the record, we had a friend in high school who was obsessed with going, okay.
Yeah,
So I keep saying
he was a big metalhead, and then one day decided he wanted to be Scarface, like from the movie. So he pretended to be Cuban after that. I have no idea why, so that's he. So by the way, I think these are all 1980 albums. Okay,
Okay.
here, Scorpions, Animal Magnetism.
Okay.
Saxon, the Strong Arm of the Law, in case you're wanting to line up for the annual Saxon concert. Def Leppard, On Through the Night, and Angel Witch by Angel Witch. Because you're an angel witch. You're an angel witch.
What was the first one?
I sent it to you.
All right.
Scorpions, Animal
okay,
Magnetism.
Okay. Scorpions, Animal Magnetism, Saxon, Strong Arm of the Law.
Yeah, Strong Arm of the Law, yeah.
On Through the... I'm going to go Animal Magnetism because that album freaking rules. Animal Magnetism freaking rules. I mean, I love On Through the Night, and I know I've picked that over stuff before. The thing about the Scorpions, damn it, like Love Drive, Animal Magnetism, Blackout, Love at First Sting. I'm gonna make the comparison because they're German. They did what Accept did around those years. They
Love
put
David
out
Hasselhoff.
well, that as well. But look at okay. Love Drive 79, Animal Magnetism 80, Blackout 82, Love at First Sting 84. Now, let's look at Accept, and I gotta look at these. Okay, so it was a little bit later, but Breaker 81, Restless and Wild 83, Balls to the Wall 84, Metal Heart 80, Metal Heart 85. So plus or minus a year, the Scorpions put out two. The Scorpions, like Accept did, put out 4 albums that back to back are just freaking incredible.
And to this day, I think when people go to see them, they go to see stuff off those 4 albums.
Look, Love Drive again, Loving You Sunday Morning. Love Drive is an amazing song. Holiday, God, I love Holiday. Animal Magnetism, you've got
Zoo.
I mean, dude, the song "The Zoo" is on it. I mean,
Dude, The Zoo is one of the... First of all, it's about New York City, but second of all, it's one of the raunchiest songs ever.
it's one of the best stripper songs ever.
That's why I said it's so raunchy.
Yeah, it's raunchy. I mean, it's a great freaking
Make our dreams come true. Did it?
God, it's such a cool.
That riff,
Like-
the dun 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 dun. Dun,
I would say,
dun.
and this I'm not original by saying this because The Sopranos proved this, but "Living on a Thin Line" by the Kinks is probably like the coolest stripper song ever. It's the song that the Hua that with Ralphie that she would go out to. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you watch The Sopranos, she was a Hua. The song that she would strip to was "Living on a Thin Line" by the Kinks. It's an amazing freaking song for for that. But I mean, Animal Magnetism, dude, it's so good. And then Blackout is clearly not only often considered one of the coolest metal album covers of all time, but it's a great album. Love It for Sting. And then they put out Worldwide Live, and it's just like, dude, come on, man. How freaking good is this band? I mean, Savage Amusement and Crazy World are great albums, too. I mean, Crazy World's got Tease Me, Please Me on it, Wind of Change, which I don't care if... Well, Send Me an Angel, by the way, is another one, which is on Crazy World. Send Me an Angel's a freaking amazing... I know it's a ballad. It's just a great song. I freaking love the Scorpions. You know, it's weird. If you watch videos of people in the early 80s and they're heavy metal fans and they're asked who their favorite heavy metal bands are, the Scorpions always come up. They're like, I like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and the Scorpions. And it's so funny because, like, people think of the Scorpions as so radio rock because of, like, Rock You Like a Hurricane got so popular. But they were a legitimate, like, freaking heavy metal band from Germany, full, you know, wall-to-wall awesome riffs. Klaus's voice is, I mean, it still sounds great, but Klaus's voice
it's a shame what happened to Rudolf Schenker.
He shaved.
After he died after he shaved his mustache.
Yeah,
I mean, after he shaved his mustache, he's dead to me, so.
Yeah, it's some things just shouldn't happen.
He was just so much cooler with a mustache.
Yeah, but no, anyway, so I will go. It is not my favorite Scorpions album. I will be the first to admit. Of the four, it is not my favorite, but meaning of those four albums by the Scorpions, it is not my favorite. And I love On Through the Night. I clearly am a big fan of that album, but yeah, I'm gonna go Scorpions. I don't know which one you're gonna pick, but
so it's not Saxon.
Yeah, and I love Saxon. Can I just throw this out really quick though? Saxon is one of those bands where I really like them, but they have a lot of albums that just kind of blur together in my head.
Me too.
Like I could just listen to 10 Saxon albums in a row and love every song on all of them, but they also blur in my head. Other than a couple of the major standout records.
Denim and Leather.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other ones.
Wheels of Steel or whatever.
Yeah, Wheels of Steel's another one. And I mean, Strong Arm of the Law is right there. It's from 19. I mean, it's right there in their group of really great albums. But I mean, Heavy Metal Thunders. I mean, it's a great album. But I'm going to go with my gut, the Scorpions.
Yeah, you're not going to line up for the annual Saxon concert.
I mean, I would if there was an annual Saxon concert. You've seen them live, and I haven't, and that makes me pissy because I love that band, and I've never seen them.
Well, knowing your luck, like Biff would have got struck by lightning before.
Yeah, for that reason, I'm kind of glad I haven't seen him because I don't want bad things to happen to Biff.
Like Biff would get literally I'm so excited to see Saxon. I'm sorry, but Biff's been struck by lightning.
It's like, what the hell? Anyway,
Wait,
continue.
Here,
I don't know if you're going to agree. I have a feeling you're going to agree with me. Go for it.
No, I'm not. Duff's here.
You're not? Okay.
I think so. It's not going to be Def Leppard On Through the Night. Like, I mean, it was a good new album for when it was, but I mean, we all know that Def Leppard really and truthfully, and I watched a documentary on New Wave of British Heavy Metal, and they flat out said that I mean, look, I only know what roadies and stuff said. I'm not judging the album by this, but it kind of makes me think about it a little bit when I see this album. It was a strong album. Def Leppard always
it's not
knew
High and Dry. I mean, High and Dry is freaking
Def
amazing.
Leppard always knew that this is not what they were going to do. Def Leppard used New Wave of British Heavy Metal to get to America. Once they got exposed in America, they knew that they wanted to create... They wanted to write hits. Like, they weren't to the point of Kiss, where we only want to... You know, Kiss was wanted to be the Coca-Cola of music, but they had every intention of coming here and basically getting getting rich and famous. Which, fine. I mean, they wrote good music while doing it, so I'm not going to criticize them. At least, again, this is all based on what their manager or whatever, like somebody. It was based on somebody who was in the scene. You know, back when Praying Mantis and all these bands were coming, Iron Maiden, Def Leppard, like all these new wave of British heavy metal bands were coming over, and so they kind of knew that On Through the Night was kind of their foot in the door, and then once their foot was in the door, they were going to do stuff that was arguably much more pop. I mean, really and truthfully, like, I would never necessarily call Def Leppard pop. I certainly would probably consider, I would certainly at points consider them pop rock. Because really and truthfully, like, after On Through the Night, there was a distinct shift in what they were doing. Like, High and Dry and On Through the Night, there's connective tissue there, but I would consider On Through the Night a new wave of British heavy metal album. I would not consider High and Dry a new wave of British heavy metal album.
No.
But that, I mean, I'm not judging On Through the Night based on that, but it's hard. You know, I think you mentioned, I forget if you mentioned it with this or the other one, where knowing, like, if I was sitting there in 1980, I don't know if I would have the same opinion, but knowing what I know about Def Leppard now, it's hard for me to look at On Through the Night. It's kind of like, I always consider that as kind of like, oh, that album. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's good, but it's hard for me to see it as anything other than, oh yeah, that Def Leppard album. You know what I mean? Like, I own it. It's on my record collection. I own every Def Leppard album up through Adrenalize. But that one for me will always be, oh yeah, that album. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it. Animal Magnetism, I agree with what you said. Same for me. Out of those 4 Scorpion albums, it's probably my least favorite, although The Zoo is probably actually one of my favorite Scorpion songs.
It is my least favorite of those 4.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Out of those 4. But The Zoo is probably actually one of my favorite songs. I'm actually going to go with Angel Witch.
Okay.
I bought, and I'll be honest with you, I was very late to the party with Angel Witch.
Right.
I was at a record store. They had it, and I was like, this looks cool. I listened to the first few minutes of it. I took it home, and I listened to it. Angel Witch is one of those albums where it reminds me of, and you and I always talk about this, and by the way, I'm not talking musically. It reminds me of when you and I talk about Doomsday for the Deceiver by Flotsam and Jetsam, where...
freaking good it is.
Well, I never think of it until I put it on, or even Cloven Hoof's first album. I never think of it until I put it on, and every time I put it on, I'm like, my God, this album is so cool. Like, it's one of those albums where I'm aware of it, I know it, I love it, but I never think to listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, but then occasionally, randomly, I'll say, oh, I'm going to listen to Angel Witch, and then I'll finish the album and be like, man, that album is so good. So I'm going to say Angel Witch because every time I listen to that album, I always thoroughly enjoy it. And, you know, not to say I don't enjoy the other albums, but chances are if I'm going to put on something by Saxon, it's going to be like Wheels of Steel or Denim and Leather. It's probably not going to be Strong Arm of the Law. Maybe I would listen. You know, if I was in a Saxon mood, maybe I would listen to it.
When I want to listen to Saxon, I just put on Saxon and just run through it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with records, you really can't do that. But I mean,
no. But what I mean is, I just listen to Saxon. I just listen to a run of Saxon records more so than like I'm not going to sit back and go, I want to listen to Strong Arm of the Law. I just want to listen to a bunch of Saxon.
Yeah, you want to act like you're at the annual Saxon concert and just have music keep going.
Hell no, man. I don't listen to that crap. I'm a rocker, dude, through and through. Here's my favorite bands. AC/DC, Van Halen, not Van Hagar, Skinner, Def Leppard. Dude, that line in Joe Dirt kills me every freaking time. Def Leppard. Joe Dirt's an amazing movie. Oh, you're my sister. Oh, you're my sister.
No, I made that part up. It's a good movie. But again, you know,
because of Christopher Walken. If nothing else, Walken is so good in that movie.
I'm going to stab you in the face with a soldering iron. Oh,
your tone.
Does your mother sew? You bloom, you get to sew that.
Your tone.
You're talking to me all wrong. That's the wrong tone.
That's the wrong tone. Oh, God, what a great
Plus,
movie.
he finds out that he's not really dead the same way that would happen to you.
Very true.
Anyways, but no, so I'm probably going to go with Angel Witch. And it's funny because, you know, I mean, truthfully and honestly, like, first of all, you know, when you talk about 1980, I am not a big new wave of British heavy metal fan. Meaning, I'm as much as you are. Like, I love a lot of new album bands, but like that's
I like Praying Mantis a lot.
See, I
like
never
Tigers
got
probably more than you do.
I don't even.
But I'm not a huge Tigers fan.
I have the greatest hits of the Tigers of Pantang because I got it for $1, and I was like, oh, this will be fun to listen to. And honestly, like, I listened to it, and I'm like, eh.
But see, I mean, admittedly, I only ever listened to them because I thought they were the Tigers of Poontang. I was like, well, I can get behind that band. Then I found out that wasn't true. And ended up liking the band. But no, I like Tigers, but I'm not.
The Tigers of Pantang, not the band.
I said their last couple of records are ridiculous. I don't even know how many guys are. It might not even be any guys from the original band anymore.
Let's find out.
But they have put out some killer records the last couple of years. They have an album called like Majors and Minors, I think it's called, where it's a collection of songs from the last few records. It's freaking good. But it's also like way better than what they did.
Let's see.
Back in the day.
There is one original member, and it's Rob Weir, who plays guitar and backing vocals.
Well, there you go.
Actually, and you know what's funny? He wasn't even a consistent original member. He left the band in 85 through 88. Or he left the band. Oh, wow. He left the band until. There honestly has not been one consistent member in that band ever. Like, meaning the guys everybody in that band has left at some point.
Well, there you go.
Crazy.
There you go. Anyway, so I actually think that probably brings us around to the end of our little program.
Now I want to listen to. You were talking about now you want to listen to Def Leppard. Now I want to listen to Angel Witch.
I do want to listen to Def Leppard, but I said I'll listen to Ministry, and I'm going to totally listen to Psalm 69. I just mainly because I haven't listened to it in a million years.
69.
I'm with George Carlin though. I always preferred 71, which is 69 plus 2 fingers. Anyway, oh, what a week it's been. Anyway, dude, kind of fun tonight. We never know when episodes like this. We never know where they're gonna go. I mean, I wanted to talk about the new Cradle of Filth record. Other than that, I had nothing on the top of my mind that I wanted to get into the discussion this week. So it just, we're just two ass wipes, and who knows what's. I just want to keep saying it. It's fun, I don't know. Anyway, so it's been a lot of fun. I stand by what I said at the beginning of the episode, where there's been a ton of great music that's come out already. I am certainly hoping that the trend keeps up as the year goes by, because that would just be awesome. Because I'm all about awesome new music. I mean, who isn't? I mean, what? You have to be a major ass wipe to know what good music. I need to stop. Because I'm just going to say ass wipe all night, and we don't need to do that. So anyway, do you have anything you need to add before we make like a tree and get out of here?
No.
All right, cool. Well, anyway, check us out, social media, subscribe. It's always free, always will be. No ads, no sponsors. It's not because we want to hold on to artistic integrity. It's just because no one in the right mind would ever sponsor this show, and no one ever will. So, anyway, we want to thank you all very much for listening. My name is Duff.
My name is Rex.
And we will see you again next week on another episode of the Heavy Metal Hangover. Congratulations for actually making it all the way through this episode of the Heavy Metal Hangover.
With your beer-guzzling, head-banging hosts, Rex and Duff.